Hello, Ian Gray here for episode 183 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking about how basically you can turn your live stream into a podcast. It is the live streamer's guide to podcasting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I've talked a lot about this in the past, but I think it's time to revisit it, particularly because there's a lot of people talking about podcasting at the moment, a lot of people struggling with it. That's what I hear. And so I think it's time to just maybe demystify some of those things. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, let's press record on the podcasting machine and let's get on with it. Well, hello, Ian Gray here. This is the live streamer's guide to podcasting. Do you want a podcast? Do you want to live stream? Well, why not do both? Your podcast and other content can come straight from your live video episodes. And with software like Ecamm Live and Descript, it's so easy to do. So let's get on with episode 183 right now.
Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Gray.
Helping you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video.
Optimize your mindset and communication and increase your confidence in front of the camera.
Get confident with the tech and gear.
And get confident with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Well, hello, Ian Gray here for the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is exciting. We're going to be talking about podcasting today, which is something that I love. I've been podcasting for a very long time. I think it was back in 2012 is when I launched my first podcast. And then I had a little bit of a pause. And then in 2019, I launched this Confident Live Marketing Podcast. And if you haven't followed and subscribed to this podcast, all you need to do is go to iag.me/podcast, and you can find links there to all your favorite podcasting apps to be able to subscribe to this. Or the new word is follow. So I can see we've got the wonderful Melissa Knoll here. Great to see you watching. Hope you're doing well watching on LinkedIn. I know that Katie is not going to be here today because she is doing something else very exciting, which I'm going to be sharing with you in a little bit. But I want to share with you a few things that are coming up fairly soon that you might be interested in, or you should be interested in. Now, some of these are events in the UK. If you're not from the UK, well, you can still come, of course. But there are options for to remotely log into the virtual events as well. And one of them is the fantastic Atomicon run by my good friends Andrew and Pete. Now, I have been to I have been to all the Atomicons. So the first one was in 2019. I spoke at that and that was in Newcastle. That was the inaugural one. What happened? Yeah, 2020. So in 2020, it was virtual and I helped out on that one. 2021, I think it was October last year. And that happened in person at the Sage in Newcastle, which was amazing. And they had they've had a break for 2022, but it's going to be coming back in 2023. So if you go to atomic.site/Atomicon, you can find out more about this. If you are watching live, there is currently a flash sale, which will give you 69% off all the tickets. Now, I'm not an affiliate or anything, but I'm basically recommending this because it is awesome. I think we are getting to the time when we really do need to meet back in person. So if you haven't been at an event yet, and if you're feeling a little bit nervous about going back to events, I totally understand that. But I think we need live events more than ever. So many of us have kind of retreated into ourselves a little bit. And I put myself in this with this as well, because over the last couple of years, I feel like a bit of I felt like a little bit like a hermit. So actually meeting up in person, I think is going to be great. They have got some amazing speakers. They've got Joe Wicks is one of the keynote speakers, They've got Rachel Rogers and Robin Kennedy. And of course, Andrew and Pete will be there doing a keynote as well. So atomic.site/Atomicon is where you want to go. And they've got a really good deal on at the moment. So if you go to that, that would be awesome. Definitely recommend that. Now, there's a few other things that are happening. I think I mentioned the Janet Murray's Courageous Content event, but as well as that, I'm putting on my own event in just before Janet Murray's event, which I'm excited about, and also Andrew and Pete are as well. It's called the Confident Live Workshop, and it's happening on the morning of October the 31st, 2022, at the Great North Hotel. That's in Newcastle. So it's about 10 minutes away from the centre. It's very easy to get to. And I'm going to be there in person, helping you with getting over perfectionism, the whole kind of mindset side of things. But we're going to be getting into actually the planning part of things, which I'm going to talk a little bit about today as well. So we'll be covering how to turn your live video into a content repurposing engine. You can see there on the screen if you're watching, and I'll just talk about this if you're listening. Podcasts, blog posts, YouTube videos, social media snippets, video shorts such as Instagram Reels, TikToks, and all those kind of things. And of course, if you don't want to go live, you don't have to. You can still use all of these things I will be teaching as part of that workshop. So you can find out more about this if you go to iag.me/workshop. That's iag.me/workshop. There are still tickets available for that. And Ecamm is sponsoring it. So Katie from Ecamm will be there as well, which is amazing. But as well as that, you can go in the afternoon. There's the Atomic Killer Mastermind. And then we've got the Courageous Content Live conference happening the following day, which is going to be amazing. In fact, it's 2 days. Okay, then the next thing, I've got so many things to talk about. The next thing is happening right now, and this is why Katie Simpson can't be here. And this is the Ecamm Live Leap into Podcasting event, which is happening today and tomorrow. I'm speaking tomorrow at about this time. And this is a free event, which I highly recommend. If you're interested in finding out more about podcasting, just go to, what is the thing? It's leapintopodcasting.com. Leapintopodcasting.com is where you want to go. And there are loads of other things happening. Speedify, Ecamm, Captivate, Descript, Camo, and Short are all sponsoring it. We've got some amazing speakers here, a lot of whom have been on the show before, such as Stephanie Liu. We've got Colin Gray, Katie Simpson, Ash Borland, Eric Fisher, Jeff C., Grace Duffy, if I can pronounce her name correctly. Me, for some reason, Chris Giles. I've got loads of people, Doc Rock, and lots of people that I want to get on the show as well. So you can, if you're watching live, you can see at the moment we've got the fabulous Katie Simpson is there, and I think she's doing an amazing job. And Grace is there as well. Yeah, recognize a lot of those people there. So that is awesome. Do check that out. And let's get on with talking about podcasting, because podcasting is one of the most fabulous formats, content formats. I love podcasting because it is. Why do I love it? Well, first of all, there's very little barrier to entry. Yes, okay. People need to download an app. They don't necessarily, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. They don't necessarily need to download an app because, of course, they can listen to it on your website. They can watch it on YouTube or listen to it on YouTube. But they can listen to it wherever they are. They can listen to it while driving a car, while walking the dog, while washing the dishes. Whereas with video, you have to kind of stop what you're doing. Well, you have to, but if you want to watch it, you're going to have to do that. So that is one of the reasons why I love it. But it's an intimate experience. It's a great way to grow an audience of people who really love what you do. When people listen to a podcast, they will listen generally to the whole episode, whether it's half an hour or whole hour. Where else do you get that amount of commitment? With live video, people tend to dip in and dip out. There are people that will watch the whole thing, which is great. But with podcasting, people tend to listen a lot more all the way through the podcast, which is great. So The problem is, I think, in people's minds is that people overcomplicate it. People overcomplicate what you actually need to create a podcast. And the thing is, you only need really a few things. The first thing that you need before anything else is you need to have a plan. You need to know what is it that you want to talk about on this, and what are you wanting to get out of it. That's the kind of the selfish part of this. What is the strategy behind this, and who are you targeting? Who's the target audience here? So I've talked about this before. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail today about this, but you need to come up with a plan, and that is the most, in a sense, the most difficult thing. I've got a toolkit. If you go to iag.me/toolkit, you'll be able to sign up for my Confident Live toolkit, which has loads of downloadable resources. In that, there is a template for your plan, and I highly recommend that you use that, because that's going to help you produce the plan, and it's going to help you get on the road to doing this. So the plan is really important. The second thing that you will need is a microphone. Now, you might already have a microphone, but just think about, is that microphone going to be good enough? I don't want this to be a barrier to you, so don't spend too much time thinking about this, but have you got an external microphone? And it doesn't need to be really expensive. I've got a Heil PR40 here, which is, hundreds of pounds, hundreds of dollars. You don't necessarily need to go for something like that. I started on a Blue Yeti microphone, which was absolutely fine. So just think about that. And then obviously you need a computer. You technically don't need a computer, but I think it's going to be a lot easier if you have a computer. You can plug your microphone into that, and then it just makes things easier in terms of recording it and, of course, editing. And that brings me on to the next thing that you will need, which is some kind of editing software. Now, if you're not like me and you speak fluent English, I mean, I do speak fluent English, but I tend to stumble over my words, and I need to edit occasionally my podcasts. And but even if you do speak without any flaws and you're absolutely fine with that, you need to potentially put an intro and an outro. You may want to put some sponsor segments in it as well. So some kind of editing software is going to be helpful. And if that scares you, just keep listening, because I've got a really cool piece of software that is not difficult to use, and you don't need to be like a tech genius for this. And then the final thing that you will need, or the final vital thing that you'll need, is you'll need to have a podcast host. And this is where you upload your episodes, and the podcast host stores the episodes, and it also distributes it to all the different places, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, that kind of thing. So you'll need a podcast host. And I've got recommendations for all of these things. Everything else is optional. Everything else is totally optional. Now, I prefer to start my content creation process for my blog posts even, but particularly for my podcast, with live video. And the reason for this is because I'm a bit of I'm not a bit of I'm a huge procrastinator from time to time. I really struggle sometimes with just getting things done. I have talked about that a lot in the past. I'm not going to cover why or the why, the what's and all those kind of things about that. But that is a problem. It may be for you. A lot of content creators are like that. But also I'm a bit of a recovering perfectionist as well. So with live video, all I do is I schedule it in advance. And that means I'm committed to doing it. So I scheduled this show a couple of days ago, I think. So I was committed to do this. I knew what I was doing. There was a plan in place. I'm doing it. And I turn up at this time and I create the content, and I know that it is done. And the cool thing about this is this episode may take half an hour. It may take 45 minutes, an hour. But whatever it is, that time, once I'm done. I've created that content. And that is a huge weight off my chest. It really is. So that is the great thing about starting off with live. And so the big advantages with live video, starting with live video, is you can turn it into a content repurposing engine. You can, with that one time of this live show, this live episode. So for example, today, I can turn this into a blog post, into a podcast, into social media images really easily because I've spent the time turning up and doing it. You can build a community of people who will turn up and ask questions and hang out with you. And that is the most amazing feeling. I love that part of live video. So building a community, growing a community. You also, and I've kind of talked about this, is you are creating video as well as the audio. So podcasting generally is audio only. And I've talked about the advantages of that, but creating video as well is going to allow you to repurpose it more widely. So you'll be able to turn it into, say, a YouTube video or whatever. So I think that is cool. But if you just record the audio, there's no way of adding the video later. So you're creating that video as well, which makes it great for repurposing. And then the other cool thing is it allows you to create a buffer as well. So because I go live twice a week and my podcast goes live or it goes out once a week, I can build up a buffer so that I don't feel stressed too much. Although at the moment my buffer's pretty low. I'm about 3 weeks, which is a little bit on the low side. I prefer to get up to like 8 weeks, to be honest, and above possibly 12 would be really nice. That's 3 months worth of stuff. So those are the advantages, but I do want to talk about the downsides of starting with live video, because there are a few. First of all, it does require video. So if you're not comfortable in front of the camera, if your guest isn't comfortable in front of the camera, that could potentially be a problem. Now, I'm here to help you with that. Many ways, started off as the reluctant live video guy. I didn't particularly want to get on camera, but if I can do it, then you can do it. That's basically what I would say to you. It does require some confidence. It does require a bit of a mindset journey. But yeah, if you do it this way, it does require video. There's no way of getting away from that. And of course, that has lots of advantages. That's why we're using video. Probably the biggest disadvantage, though, is that you can't batch record. I've talked about being able to build up a buffer because I go live twice a week. That means that I can build up a buffer over time, and that helps. But I know a lot of podcasters that will spend, say, like 1 or 2 days a month, and they'll record like 4, 8 episodes in kind of one go, and they'll schedule their guests in on that day so they get it all done. Personally, I kind of love that idea, but I almost think that would be too much. I think my head would probably explode, and I'm not sure I'd get bored, but I think I'd lose my enthusiasm probably after the 3rd or 4th session in one day. But obviously with live video, you can't really batch. I can't really go live 4 times in the day. I could, but it's not really going to. People aren't going to watch all 4 episodes. No, it's just not going to happen. So let's talk about my process and what I recommend for you. The first thing is to have some kind of process for organizing your shows, and particularly when it comes to bringing in a guest. Now, you don't have to have guests. They could all be solo shows. So at the moment, the last 2 or 3 episodes have just been me. I do have some guests lined up, which I'm excited about. And I use some scheduling software called Calendly. So it's Calend, Calendly. And it's just, I think I love this tool so much because it is simple both for me, who's organizing the event, organizing the date and the time, but it's also really easy for my guests, and I can ask them questions, specific questions that I need. So I'll ask for the name, obviously. They put their phone number in so they can get SMS reminders. That's optional, and they choose the date and the time, and they also will put in their headshot, their bio. I ask them what their favorite type of music is as well, and that all comes into Google Sheets for me. So I'm connecting it with Zapier, which is a little bit more complicated, a cool tool. But Calendly will just send you an email. It will also put it in your calendar, in your guest calendar. You'll get reminded. It's just amazing. And I couldn't do without Calendly. I also have all of my episodes in a Google Sheet. And the reason I use Google Sheets is because my assistant Tonya can go in and she can see that. And potentially as I grow my team, I can send that out for other people to be able to edit as well. I've got it all in one place, which is cool. So we've done all of that. It's now time to schedule the live show. Now you will want to use a live video tool for this. And there are loads out there we've talked about. You could use a web-based tool like StreamYard or Restream or Melon or BeLive. You want to use a tool, though, that is going to allow you to download the video and ideally the audio as well afterwards. So Restream does this, StreamYard does this. Some of the other tools, EVMux is a new one, which I want to talk about in the future as well, does that as well. So you want to use a tool like that, or you use I can't speak today. Or you use a live video tool that you will use on your computer, an app. So there's loads of recommendations there. I can see Dr. Stuart Buchan is here. Great to see you, Stuart. Hope you're doing well watching on YouTube. Great to see you. Let me know if you've got any questions or any thoughts about the world of podcasting and starting with your live video and turning that into a podcast. So I use Ecamm Live, but there are other tools out there. There's Wirecast, there's vMix, lots of tools that you can use on your computer. But it does need to have the capability of bringing in guests, of scheduling. Even multi-streaming would be good as well. So Ecamm Live is what I use for that. It allows me to schedule the show, bring in my guest, but it also will record my video and my audio after for later in a high quality. And the cool thing with Ecamm, a few other tools that do this too, is it will separate, this is optional, you don't have to do this, but it will separate my audio from my guest's audio. So I can then edit it a little bit easier later. So if I have a coughing fit halfway through, I can edit that out without cutting my guest's audio, if that makes sense. So you then go live on the day. You go live. I'm not going to talk about that because we talked about that a lot on the show. And you've recorded your show. And then at the end of it, you will have a high quality video and high quality audio, which is then time to repurpose into your podcast. So because I use Ecamm Live, it saves that in a folder that's on Dropbox for me, which is cool. So Tonya, my assistant, will have access to that. We put that into a tool called Descript. So my audio is a track and my guest's audio is a track. And the cool thing about Descript is it's a video and an audio editing tool, but it will transcribe my words and my guest's words into text. And you then edit the text. So you kind of edit it like a Word document in a way. It does have a wave form at the bottom as well. So you can edit it like a traditional podcasting editing tool, but that is the really cool thing about it. It will transcribe it. So I'll get it to transcribe those two tracks, and then any other kind of sound effects or videos and stuff, I don't tend to transcribe those. And then I edit that. You can even put your music, your intro and your outro as well, and put any other stuff in there. And then you just download it as an MP3 and you're almost good to go. Now, I have another step in here. Because I'm a bit more geeky, I will upload that. I will add that into Adobe Audition, do a few final little bits in there, but you don't have to. But you've got that capability, and actually Descript has a really cool export facility. So if you are feeling guilty, if you are feeling geeky and you want to use a tool like Adobe Audition, it will actually export it into an Adobe Audition file, which is cool. I love that. Okay, so you got the MP3. How do you get it out into the real world? You need to upload it into a podcasting host. And the tool that I use is Captivate FM. I was actually the first ever customer at Captivate FM. I didn't know about this at the time, but my friend Mark Askworth, I was asking him about podcast hosts. I was looking around and I didn't realize that he was developing his own. Mark has been on the show before, and Mark is he's a legend in the podcasting world. A veteran maybe is the right word. And he said, well, you could use ours. They weren't quite ready to launch it, but I got it in there, and I've been so excited to be part of that and see their journey, because it is so easy to use, but it has lots of really cool advanced features, and it's all about growth. It's all about helping you grow your show. And it has some amazing features in there. That there's a new feature coming soon, or it's an upgraded version of what's called Amy, which is their ad insertion system. So if you do get sponsors in the future, or if you want to sponsor, if you want to actually add some of your own products and services into your podcast, you can do that really easy using Amy, which is a little feature built into Captivate FM. So if you go to iag.me/Captivate, you can find out more about that. And that's an affiliate link. So if you do sign up for that, I will get a little cut, just to let you know. So there we go. We've got Calendly, we've got Google Sheets, we've got Ecamm Live or some other tool there. We've got Descript and Captivate. You don't need to use like any of those tools. You can keep it super simple, but those are the tools that I use every time I want to convert my live shows into a podcast, which is basically every single week, or 2 times per week is what I do. And that's how I do it. So now Melissa is asking a great question. What about Final Cut Pro? So yeah, there are other apps out there that will help you do this, more traditional video and audio editing tools out there. So Final Cut Pro is a video editing tool for Macs. And I have used that. I use that for editing video. I tend to use ScreenFlow. It's because I'm lazy. But if I was doing like a big video project, I would either use Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro. I probably would go with Final Cut Pro just because it's a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about that one. But Final Cut Pro is more of a video editing tool. So if you're wanting to edit the video part of your show and maybe upload that to YouTube, then yes, absolutely, you could use Final Cut Pro. It's a traditional video editing tool. What I like about Descript is, so with Descript, you can just drag the audio over to Descript or drag video over there. And then it will transcribe the words, and then you just edit it using the words. So if you just want to cut a little word out there or sentence, you can do that. You can, even if you misspoke, change what you said. You can actually, it's called overdub. It's kind of slightly freaky, really. It will actually change the words for you that you spoke, because it will mimic your voice. So I think for podcasting, I really like Descript, and I would probably use that for some videos as well. For other types of video, I prefer like a tool like either Final Cut Pro or ScreenFlow. Those are the tools that I would use. So great question. I wouldn't use Final Cut Pro for audio or for podcasting particularly. I would use something like Adobe Audition, or you could use Descript. You might be able to use Final Cut Pro for audio, but it's just not designed for that. So it's more of a video editing tool. So I hope that helps. Well, I think that is it for this week. That's basically all I wanted to share. But I would love to see you in Newcastle, in the UK. If you are here, if you're local, if you're on the other side of the world, it might be a bit more tricky. But if you have any questions, just send me an email. Just ian@iag.me. And you can find out more about the workshop just by going to iag.me/workshop. And I'd love to see you in Newcastle. And we're going to have lunch together as well. So you can meet up with me and we can have some fun. And I really want to help you with that, with launching your live show and taking it to the next level as well. And of course, I'm just wondering whether I've got it handy here. I do have a toolkit as well, which kind of goes hand in hand with the workshop. But the toolkit is really cool. I'm really proud of this. I've talked about this before. It's called the Confident Live Toolkit. It has my Confident Live launcher right at the center of it. That is basically a full course, a full video course on podcasting, live video, and how you combine the two together. But we've got loads and loads of templates there. We've got a free ebook in there as well, and lots of mini courses too. if you want to take things to the next level and you want more kind of hand holding, then I do have a VIP and VIP Plus packages as well there. So that will give you some one-to-one time with me. So that's at iag.me/toolkit, iag.me/toolkit. Thank you, Melissa. It's my pleasure. I'm here to help, and I'd love to know more from you. What you're going to be doing? Are you thinking about launching a podcast, doing any more live video or anything like that? But that is it. I'm going to head over and look at what's happening at the Leap Into Podcasting, see how Katie's doing, give her a bit of support, and maybe you will want to do that too. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.